Let me tell you, this has been a roller coaster of emotions over the past 24 to 48 hours, all culminating with today's Pat McAfee show and the press conference of the 36th head coach in West Virginia football history, who is the 32nd head coach in West Virginia football history, Rich Rodriguez. So for the premise of this video, if you're tuning in, I'm going to assume that you also watched the Pat McAfee show. I watched it from start to finish and everything in between. And, I've done a lot of thinking. I've done a lot of soul searching. I read all of your comments, even the nasty ones, which I expected, and was willing to be 100% real with all of you because that's who I am. That's who I'll always That's what you'll always get from me, even to my own detriment. I'm not going to be one who ever holds back or just jumps on any bandwagon just because. That is not me. But I am finally, and I cannot believe that I am saying these words, but I'm finally ready to give Rich Rodriguez a second chance. You all got a taste of the poison. You got it there in my last video. And I really don't want to go into the particulars of how deeply 2007 cut me. That's between me, my family, and the good Lord. But I'm sure at some point in life, you have all had some sort of scar. I use this analogy in life a lot in my own personal life. And what I mean by that is, whether that be from a relationship with a loved one or life choices that you made either personally or professionally, or some sort of event, whether that be traumatic or just something that will always stick with you, an experience, something in life. But when Rich Rodriguez hiring was announced 2 days ago, that Band-Aid to that scar on me came off and all of that poison reemerged. It all bubbled up to the surface, and that was my feelings. And I'm sure there are many still others within Mountaineer Nation who aren't watching this on YouTube, so I knew that I was going to kind of be in the online minority here with that take 2 days ago. And just like that heckler who was at the Coliseum today, who really wanted his pound of flesh, that the emotions just kind of got the best of him, and everything from that experience, there in 2007, with the way things happened there in December of 2007, it all kind of came out. But I'm coming on today to tell you, I think it is finally time to galvanize around Coach Rod, this program, and move forward, because we are so much stronger when we have a united front as Mountaineer fans. And we have been so, really through the ringer, I feel like, over these last 17 years, with highs and lows and everything in between, and we are just at this point of needing to turn a page. Just like the Israelites wandered around in the desert for 40 years before reaching the promised land. We have been wandering around in the desert that is this Big 12 conference for so long now. And just maybe, that the Bobby Bowden curse can be lifted. Now, this has been a topic that I've wanted to address for as long as I've had this channel, and and even when I first started it, I feel like I wanted to talk about it. So what is the Bobby Bowden curse? I think this is apt for this video to talk about. Well, I think West Virginia University, at least their sports programs, were cursed when Mountaineer fans burned Bobby Bowden to an effigy decades ago. I know this is going back to the 70s, so maybe a generation or two, but we know, if you're a college football fan, how things went down. Bobby Bowden goes to Florida State, becomes the winningest coach in program history in all time of college football, right there with Coach Paterno, wins 2 national championships, one of the greatest college football head coaches of all time. West Virginia witnesses unprecedented success under Coach Don Nehlen, establishing the modern era of West Virginia football. Beats Oklahoma on the road in 1982. Goes on to the national championship game in 1988, only for Major Harris to separate his shoulder on the, first or second series of the game. West Virginia loses to Notre Dame. That's a curse. Go undefeated in 1993, only to be passed over, just like how Florida State was a year ago, but West Virginia back in 1993 was passed over to play for a national title again, and then gets crushed by Florida. That's a curse. In comes Rodriguez in the early 2000s. We know what the great heights that he took West Virginia in the mid-2000s, only to lose to Pitt in the 2007 backyard brawl to play for a national title. Curse. Get exiled to the Big 12 conference, of all places. And when you have your best chance to finally win the conference in 2018, with Will Greer, West Virginia loses because of self-inflicted turnovers and a terrible blocking out of bounds call. And West Virginia doesn't beat Oklahoma at home, best chance of winning the Big 12. That's a curse. And then, of course, Dana Holgorsen, leaving to go to Houston and, saying is West Virginia even a Power 5 program at that point in time. 6 years of the trust the climb movement that was anything but the case. Curse. So you get where I'm going with this, is that it has been a roller coaster, highs and lows and everything in between, but it all really stems, and I know West Virginia's still never won a national title. So maybe I'm, off my rocker here, but it's just like, look at all these experiences of where West Virginia, not just only in football, but basketball, baseball too, has come so close to whatever you call the Mountain Conference Championship, but we, have had these eyes set on winning national championships in other sports, and West Virginia's been so close and just fallen up short. So that's why I feel as if, there's just something out there that it just holds West Virginia back for whatever reason. So I'm going to call it the Bobby Bowden curse. So, everyone who is talking about this hire, from national college football media to WVU media and YouTubers, content creators like myself, are saying that this Rich Rodriguez story feels like its own movie. It's like the Iliad, it's Lion King, it's insert your own ultimate redemption story here, whatever you want to call it. And I needed to know that it was true for me to believe in it. That all of the conversations that had happened on other also Pat McAfee show, but this, there, and other thing in between in 17 years, anything can happen. He was not, at that point in time, the head coach of West Virginia University. So, anyone can say anything. I wanted to know that his remorse was genuine, and that he did honestly care. I didn't need that in some sort of butt-kissing kind of apology speech like some people were commenting. I didn't need that, because body language, demeanor, and actions speak louder than words. I think that's the argument that we went back and forth about, or, the media with fans back in the Neil Brown press conference about did they have fun, was the weather good, the tailgating good. It wasn't necessarily also what he said, it was how he said it. So, I definitely got that today from Rich Rodriguez. I definitely got that from the photo of Rich Rodriguez looking at the Sugar Bowl trophy from 2006. From the way that he was absolutely in awe of the facilities and seeing this is the Taj Mahal, this is El Dorado of college football, this is everything that I envisioned there in the mid-2000s. And he spoke to that on the United Bank playbook video that surfaced on social media here as I was listening to it on the drive home from work. And he just had this instant gratification kind of desire, that he tried to move too fast back in the mid-2000s. And West Virginia, while it was building and building and building, over the course of 25 years since Neil Brown or Don Nehlen became head coach, they weren't there yet. They were not there, from an institution, from a football standpoint, to take that next leap forward to be like USC or Miami or Florida of that era. LSU, name your schools who have won, Texas, who won the national title there in the 2000s. From the shout-outs and he had a lot of them, and the stories that he had of past players embracing Rasheed Marshall there, as his first quarterback. Everything he shared with Pat McAfee, and what an incredible show that was. The backing in the corner that Pat McAfee and the connection that he has with Rich Rodriguez and Owen Schmidt. To the story about Pac-Man Jones calling him on New Year's Eve, and how hearing from former players like Avon Coburn was in the audience, becoming men now from when he coached them as boys, and hearing what their life story is like and the life lessons that he'd learned. McAfee spoke to this at length. From the speech I feel like he gave last night, it's even just a quick, and then we just got a slice of the video there on social media as fans, but that he gave the current team about being hard edge and wanting to establish a new culture, which was an old culture of how that they were going to do things. To saying that he wants to earn people like me's respect, back through the way that West Virginia is going to play all out, all the time, whether it's win or a loss, that for 4 quarters that West Virginia, all of its players are going to play their tails off. Like, that means a lot. That means more than just an "I'm sorry," which he also did give, and the mistakes in which I think he recognized it. The moments that I feel like the memories just kind of overcame him to him. I feel that. I feel that when you're surrounded by, people who, were such, or love you and support you and are part of your life like that. It's clearly meant something to Rich Rodriguez ever since that day. Ever since Michigan, Arizona, and everywhere else in between, that this is truly coming home as a West Virginian, as a former Mountaineer player, coach, everything that it boiled up into him. So I feel like that was true. That was honest. That's what I needed to see. I think my absolute favorite moment of the day, and this is when I knew that, wow, it hits you square in the feels, I feel like, of everything. In addition to, the United Bank playbook videos, the highlight reel videos that they used for the introductory to the press conference, and everything in between. I think what hit me was when he took a moment, stopped everything, crowded round of applause for Coach Nealon. I mean, man, what a stand-up moment, what a stand-up gesture for him to recognize the greatest, put his, arrogance, put his egotism aside, and how he feels, about himself as a coach prior here and all the success that he had. To recognize Coach Nealon in that moment, in his late 80s now, wow. That was awesome. That was just absolutely awesome. So I get it. I finally get it. It's taken 17 years of highs and a lot of lows, especially during that period of time. And he's made some mistakes, clearly. And I guess we don't need to necessarily reiterate it for this video, but he understands of what happened then and everything in between, and is about trying to make it right. And we can talk about this in future videos, what does necessarily making it right mean? But at least that is at the forefront of his mind. That is going to be wholeheartedly his motivation every hour of every day for here on out, as long as he's the head coach, as long as he wants to be a head coach. It wasn't any sort of just him hauling around, very business-like, stoic, and just trying to avoid. No, he took it on of how everything went down in 2007. Again, I will never like the way that he departed West Virginia. For all the love that he says around his players and everything, to then just walk out on them in the middle of the night, and off you are to, I don't even know if it was a text message. I can't remember exactly if it was a text message that was sent on behalf to the team, and leaving for Michigan. But that is what it, so that's what I mean. That's part of his character. That's part of his development, and he spoke to that. That's his development as a person, as a coach. He's taken from that experiences and how that's now going to motivate, has motivated him since and will motivate him moving forward. So I'm not going to go out here and judge any Mountaineer fans who want to hold to that grudge. That's me. That is, still, that's me. Who don't want to support the old gold and blue simply because he's the head coach. I like just the way I feel like with, Neil Brown. I could still cheer and want to see West Virginia win every single game despite the head coach. So that's coming in hearing this higher, that's kind of how I still feel. Like I still bleed old gold and blue, still want to see West Virginia win. But I think today really starts the journey toward forgiveness for Coach Rod, for everything moving forward. I cannot harbor this ill will. I cannot hold on to this poison any longer. I can't do it. As much as I feel like in a safe little bubble, I feel like with my animosity toward Coach Rod, I don't know how I can. I don't know how I can do that. We're as a state, a fan base, and everything. If we're all about second chances, trying to live by that mantra, then so be it. Let's spot the ball. Let's spot the ball. We're all gonna hold the rope, and I want to see this team go out there and, just like he said, compete. There's not going to be any sort of complacency, soft and lazy. I'm loving all that talk already, and the fact that he still hates Pitt. So awesome. I'm in. Let's do it. It's going to still feel awkward a little bit and uncomfortable, I feel like, but let's do it. So I think just to conclude this video, what comes next, I feel like, based upon everything that I've heard in the last 24 hours from Coach Rod himself, I think he's going to be incredibly analytical, of the current players. From the interactions that they've already had. You saw his video about, and talked about this McAfee slouching in his chair or anything. Sit your butt up, Pat. I think he is going to have a hawk eye on all of the players that are currently a part of the program. And then even the ones, the interactions that he will have here in the coming days, weeks through Christmas, and then getting into the spring semester and winter workouts. I think he's really going to dive deep into the film from 2024, see who was loafing, who wasn't giving it their all, if they're going to be members of the team in 2025. There's nothing really you can necessarily do about the seniors, and West Virginia had a lot of them. But, oh man, if you are a freshman, sophomore, junior, you better hope, I feel like, that there weren't any plays where you were just dogging it or you weren't going all out all the time. I think to seeing who's going to perform well in Tuesday night's bowl game. Likewise, if you're an underclassman, this is a moment, I feel like, if you really want to stick around as part of this program moving forward and, with Coach Rod's help to be successful, this bowl game matchup, I feel like Tuesday just got a whole lot more interesting. I think we're about to witness an incredible transformation of the roster between now and August, because again, it sounds like they're going to go heavy into the transfer portal, finding out who on the roster are they going to say bye to and see you later. It's not a he didn't come in there and say I'm bringing my Louis like Deion Sanders did, but best believe that he is going to find the character guys either that he's seen himself having from Jacksonville State, or others that they want to go out and they want to do the recruiting now for moving forward. So they have this window, they have this transfer portal window. I think I'm just gonna have to, and all of us just gonna have to put our faith, blind faith, in Coach Rod with how he and the staff want to put together this roster of who stays and who goes. They're gonna not only just find the guys who have that hard edge, if they have it, but also want to be at West Virginia. And I've said this before on this program, outside of all this talk about Coach Rod today. I've said this before over these last few years with Neil Brown. I've really wondered who on this team has, just wants to say that they're a West Virginia football player and all that comes along with being, a D1 Power 4 player, and who does what it takes to be a West Virginia football player. And I know that NIL complicates a lot of this stuff, given the professionalization of college football. And that was kind of like the odd thing, not elephant in the room, I could say, looking forward, but looking to the past, with all of these players like Pat McAfee who were there, and Owen Schmidt, Avon Coburn, etc. They were not there as part of the NIL era. And coaching Gen Z players, I'm sure, is unlike anything before. So I'm just very curious, how the boomer Gen X type personality that Rich Rodriguez has, no excuses whatsoever, how is that going to clash per se with these Gen Z players? So, this is not a Neil Brown coach team anymore. I hope that they still, have some fun over the summer and can have a one summer cookout or something like that. I don't want them, eating gruel and running law school hill until their bones break. There's still got to be, I feel like, a balance between you only live once and being called, but you see what I'm saying is out the door, I feel like is going to be that I would just say a laissez-faire type of attitude. It is going to be hard-nosed to the ground. McAfee said that probably 100 times, in text message conversation. He's I don't think these boys know what's coming for them. So it's going to be a bit of a reckoning with these players. So who stays and who goes, and how much better and in development are these players going to get? Wow. I think it's going to be different. I think it's going to be for the better, different for the better, ultimately at the end of the day. Also, I'm very curious to see who stays on the staff. In my video 2 days ago, I was saying I think Rasheed Marshall, I think Blaine Stewart. I know that Mike Joseph was there kind of in the transition. I think he was there in 2007 or into 2008. So if Mike Joseph is still there as the strength and conditioning coach, but he said in his video to the team last night that it's his staff and him who are going to coach these players and develop that hard edge. So is the Jacksonville State coaching staff now going to become the WVU staff, or is it going to kind of be Frankenstein piecemealed between some coaches from Jacksonville State, some not, some current coaches on the WVU staff? I think predominantly the Neil Brown staff is going to be, unfortunately shown the door, fortunately or unfortunately for them. So I think it's going to be, I think a reckoning is really the best way to put about it. And so I'm going to chronicle it for you. I'll talk about it. We'll talk about the roster transformation as things transpire. Same with the hirings of the coaches. And it's going to be a very interesting, I feel like, next month or so after this bowl game ends on Tuesday. So looking forward to breaking that down for you. Probably, record Monday night or Sunday night into Monday for the day before the game, just like I do, for preview game videos during the regular season. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for tuning in. I'd love to still hear your comments. Good, bad, or indifferent, as I always like to say. Want to know how you feel. Please like this video so more Mountaineer fans around YouTube can see it. Love to have you a subscriber. I know I lost a few there with my video about Coach Rod's hiring, but if you like what you hear here, check out some of my other videos from this past season, and love to have you a subscriber. So thanks for tuning in. Tell your fans, or tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog that I do this each and every week and have a lot of fun doing it. I want to say let's go to end all my videos, but I feel like now we got to say spot the ball. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great night and a weekend.